Psychologists call it a flashbulb memory. Maybe something in your past that was really impactful, very emotional, very memorable, and you know exactly where you were. Most of us maybe remember when we found out about 9/11 and the jets flying into the Twin Towers. Or maybe you remember graduation, or when your first child was born. I have a flashbulb memory from 1988. It was Christmas. I was at my parents' house. Christmas morning, we were sitting around the tree, all in our matching pajamas, opening presents. And I can remember every detail about that. I opened my very first mobile phone. I was so excited. They were new on the market, and it was a bag phone. How many of you remember getting your first phone? Was it a bag phone? Maybe you're a little younger and it was a flip phone. Some of you don't even have a memory of getting your first phone. You started much earlier than the rest of us. We now have generations of people who are depending on technology for communication. We think first about texting or emailing before we pick up the phone to call someone. As a result, I am guilty. I am guilty of texting my husband when he's in another room of the house. And we don't have a big house. There have been articles in the news about technology executives, like the CEO of Snapchat, limiting their children's screen time. What do they know that we don't know? I had the opportunity to have my screen time limited lately. Just recently, I climbed a mountain in California. It wasn't the CEO of Snapchat. It's Mount Whitney in California. It's the highest peak in the lower 48 states, 14,505 feet. And it is really remote. There's no connectivity out there at all. So I had the opportunity to be totally unplugged, no phone, no internet service even, just for 3 days. It was going to be a really adventurous trip. All of us out there for 3 days in the wilderness with no phones. We had luckily hired 2 professional guides, the 6 of us, who had climbed this mountain many times before. We had a lot of time to talk to each other. What I found was that I was actually listening not to just the words that were said, but to how they were said, and the inflection, and the nonverbal cues that the other people were giving. I have been guilty of misunderstanding written communication. Have you been in that situation? Maybe you sent something and somebody misunderstood it, or you received something and misunderstood what they were saying. Consider these differences. I can't wait for those results. In other words, I don't have time to wait for those results. I can't wait for those results. You're excited. I'm excited about those results and getting them. I can't wait for those results. They're going to be inaccurate or exaggerated, maybe like blood tests after the holidays, for example. We actually talked to each other during dinner the first night on the trail, out there climbing the mountain, and the second night for that matter. Nobody had a phone to pull out of their pocket to take a look at their email or catch up on the latest news. And what I found was really unexpected. I had to disconnect in order to connect. By disconnecting from my technology, then I was available to connect with the others on the trek. When we were driving in to the mountains, we flew into Las Vegas before our trek as we were driving in, and we had to go through Death Valley on our way to Lone Pine, California, where we were starting from. As we drove in, I was so excited about the trek, and we had seen these mountains as we were driving in. What I didn't realize in looking at them was that the things that I originally thought were clouds behind the mountains were actually the mountains that we were climbing. And once I saw those mountains behind, in the distance behind the dark mountains, I couldn't unsee them. That is exactly what happened with the relationships between the people that were on the trek. Once we started, we had met each other, but once we started actually engaging with each other authentically, our relationship went to a whole nother level, took on a whole new depth. And we couldn't go backwards. It's easy to do. Let's try it right now. Find a partner out there in the audience, and I want you to look at them. Look at the partner in the audience. Don't talk yet. Think about something that they do not know about you. Something they don't know about you. Struggle to keep eye contact. And I want you to share telling each other that thing that the other one doesn't know right now. Try to keep looking in their eyes. Okay, you all have a lot that you don't know about each other. Come on back to the center. So once you develop that new level of connection, you can't undevelop it. You can't unsee it. Just like those clouds that we saw behind the dark mountains that actually turned out to be the mountains that we were climbing. My challenge to you to get started is this. Next time you go for your phone to text or email someone, I want you to call them instead. That's it. One simple thing. You could do that today. Next time you go to text or email, call them instead. Have a conversation with them. Go have a cup of coffee or meet with them. And I bet the same thing will happen to you that happened to me on the trek. Once you experience that new level of connectivity, that deeper relationship with somebody, and you see that, you won't be able to unsee it. Thank you very much.